that is the structure that the entire government, the school systems, anything that the government does runs under this system. And there are on Incident Command System, ICS. And there are classes that you can take if you go to the FEMA's website. There, don't quote me, I think it's the ICS 100, 200, 700, and 800. You're shaking your head, thank you. Those are the classes that will give you the greatest knowledge as far as the lingo, who checks in with who, the chain of command, all that kind of stuff. They're fantastic courses, and they're all done online. When you're done, you print off a certificate, and you are that much closer to being successful. Okay, so those are my 7 things that I noticed, no matter what the emergency. Does anyone have any comments before I move on? Okay. Yes.
How do you go about creating handwriting?
You can, yes.
Talk to me afterwards.
Okay.
And I can help you with that.
Look at that.
Go ahead and go on.
He's all nice and trained.
Okay.
Before you go on,
Yes.
a comment.
Please.
I got an email from my sister who, her cousin on her husband's side has a dear friend that lived through Hurricane Sandy. And he said the same thing. Their house was so cold, but they made sure that they got out of the house so that their children wouldn't think so poorly of their house because it was so cold. Even though it was cold outside, they made sure that they got out and came home. So even though the house was cold, it was something to look forward to. That was the first thing he needed. Then he said 2 other things that really made me surprised. It said, no matter as a mother what you do for that child, when they're hungry, they don't think very much of you. And the other thing is that when they're cold, they don't think very much of the father. And so I know that that sounds harsh, but I started thinking, you know, I think that that's probably true. And it doesn't matter whether they're a teenager or a young adult, they're going to think the same thing. Why don't you take better care of me? So I've pondered upon those things a lot.
I'm so glad you said that, because we're going to talk about Hurricane Sandy now. Because I think in Utah, one of the things that we overlook the most is winter. And it just does not sit well with me. So we're going to talk about it. There was an email that I'm sure half of you got of this person who wrote down the things that they learned from Hurricane Sandy. And I read through them, and I don't care if they were true or not, but they got my brain going on things that I think we don't think about. So some of them that I wrote down were, just because you have a working generator doesn't mean it will produce electricity. I didn't know this. Stuck up on spark plugs. I didn't know my generator needed spark plugs. Fuel. Had plenty of that. Equipment to wire your generator to your house. Again, did not think of that. I needed to be able to hook it up to my house somehow. And then extension cords. Having a basic knowledge of electricity can be priceless in a power outage. Do you know how to hook up your generator to your furnace or to your electrical panel? A woman who can cook a warm meal without normal electricity is worth her weight in gold. Things that take a lot of power to operate are your fridge, a toaster, your freezer, your hot plate, and your microwave. Home Depot offers this fantastic piece of paper that is a wattage worksheet, and it has on here how much energy it takes to run electrical items and how much it takes to start that electrical item. It doesn't take much to run an oven, but to start an oven could bust your generator. So, if you would like to come up and look at this afterwards, you're more than welcome, or you can go to Home Depot and get one yourself. I also put over here, when you're done, I have some pamphlets that the church puts out, some from Home Depot, from the Red Cross, so you're welcome just to come look.
And where do you get those from the church at?
Most of them are free, but the one book, this one's my favorite. Basic Self-Reliance. It tells you how to build a refrigerator. This is the book that they send to all of the third world countries to teach them how to be self-reliant. So it has like stuff that you and I take for granted, how to wash your hands properly. There was a pandemic. Do you know how to wash your
There
hands?
was, it's called the flu.
That's right. We're still love it. So this is the one that I love in the church. I'm sure that they do, but I don't know that for sure. Yes, in the back.
Do you recommend everyone have a generator?
I probably do, but at the same time, that's so general of a statement because I don't know how big of a generator you would need to run your house versus, I think mine, correct me if I'm wrong, is enough that I could hook 2 appliances up to it at a time. That's it. So, but I think yes, because you never know if there's a family that's cold and you have a generator, you could be a fantastic resource for them. Yes.
You can have fuel for your generator, like gasoline or
Mhm.
whatever, but you also need to have oil, because they're made so that they cut out automatically certain brand cars. And you can have all the fuel and all the stuff, and if it doesn't have the exact amount of oil, then it won't work.
Again. Yes.
And if you get a generator, look for one that takes 3 fuels.
3 people. That's good to know too. Yes.
What if you're in an apartment, is there, how could you hook it up to?
So you cannot run.
You don't have your own single house.
Right.
You're part of a big building.
I think at that point you would then find someone in your family who can help you in that situation because I don't, unless somebody else has another idea, I don't have another idea for you in an apartment complex. I'm sorry. Okay, anyone else?
You say that book was put out by the church?
Uh-huh. This one's called Basic Self-Reliance, and I know you can get up at the Big Street distribution. Okay. I wanted to briefly tell you some of the other things that I've learned through my experience over the past few years. Fireboxes have expiration date. So, be careful what you put in them. With the first fire, we had one of the gentlemen whose house was burnt down went to go get the stuff in his fireproof safe box and he opened it up and it was all ashes inside. It will just combust over time is what happens. It gets so hot, it doesn't keep the heat out, so whatever is inside will combust. Another thing to think is do not put CDs into your fireproof safe boxes because they will melt. CDs. So like if you have your important documents on a CD, don't put it in your fireproof safe box. Insurance is worth it. One of the men did not have an insurance policy when his house burned down. And if the National Guard did not pay for his home, he would have been at a loss that year. And he had just canceled it the year before. That was his first year without it, and that's when his house burned down. Yes?
You talk about safe boxes. There's so many varieties and thicknesses in that. Did you see what type they were?
I did not see what his type of box was. I don't know that.
Because you have so many of them that are
Yeah.
40-minute, 40-minute, 70.
So maybe when you look to buy a fireproof safe box, call the manufacturer on the box and just ask them what their expiration is and all that.
It's all listed on the boxes.
Is it?
Every one of them has it.
Better.
It's usually on the side door panel will tell you what temperature and how long at that temperature.
Okay.
But none of them go for really hot when the whole house burns down.
So take your fireproof safe boxes when you go. Anyone else? Okay. Pictures are priceless. 2 things. When they were given 10-minute warning to get their stuff and get out, that was what they always went for. They always went for the things that are irreplaceable that you cannot go back and get. The other thing is that put a picture of your family in your children's backpack. Because if they were ever stuck at school or in a situation where they were out of control or separated from you, they have a bit of you that they can take with them. And it's also helpful that if you ever need to be reunited with your child, they have proof of you in a picture with them.